I will never work a typical 9-to-5 job again. So the reason I'm making this video is because when I was working all of my different corporate positions in the past, I always had this feeling just deep in my soul that it didn't really align with the lifestyle I wanted to create and the future that I wanted to build for myself. And I was able to narrow it down into 3 different reasons why I will never work a 9-to-5 job again. Reason number 1 is because of the corporate matrix. The corporate matrix is something I like to call it because when you start to enter that corporate world, you really do enter an entirely new reality. So you're entering this world and you're on the bottom rung of the corporate ladder. So there's a lot of different things that come along with that, like you're making less money than people at the top. It takes a lot of time to kind of rise through the ranks. And on top of that, there's a lot of rules and also politics that come into play. So some of the rules are just like, typical stuff like you need to clock in at a certain time, clock out at a certain time. There's dress codes. There's a lot of different corporate rules that are in place. Some companies don't let you listen to music while you're working. There's a lot of different things that ultimately for me, it felt like it was stripping away a part of me, of who I was, my freedom, my expression. And on top of that, you also get a lot of the corporate politics. So people like to gossip. There's a lot of negativity that usually goes around. And remember, this isn't for every 9-to-5. This is just my experiences and what a lot of other people experience when you're working just a typical corporate position. And in that corporate matrix, you're also going to have to learn to kind of act under a new set of rules. Because as opposed to when, let's say you're an entrepreneur, when you're just an employee, your job is to really just shut up and do your work. And I know that sounds a little bit harsh, but if you've been in a 9-to-5 position like this before, you know that that's really how it is. You're not really meant to go outside of your role, to think of new ideas, to even try to shake things up. That's not how a corporation works. A lot of times there are people above you and they tell you exactly what to do. And if you start to get out of line, or let's say your manager starts to feel threatened by you, that's when they're actually going to knock you down, give you less freedom and less ability to rise through the ranks. So that's reason number 1, because of the corporate matrix and the corporate ladder that you need to climb to really get to a good salary and a good position where you have some freedom. Reason number 2 is because when you're working a 9-to-5, you only have one flow of income. And I highly recommend everyone builds multiple flows of income. Because if you only have one flow of income, not only is your earning potential smaller, but you're also putting all of your eggs in one basket. And as we've seen in this recession that's going on right now, a lot of companies aren't able to survive. And if they are, they're laying off a lot of workers, they're furloughing people, and they're also outsourcing these roles to freelancers, agencies, and other types of businesses that are taking 9-to-5 positions away. So not only are all your eggs in one basket, you're not able to really rise through the ranks quick. You can't make a lot of money unless you invest all of this time in a company. But now what we're seeing is even if you do choose to invest all of your time, all of your energy in a single company, that could all be stripped away instantly if something happens with the economy, if someone acquires that business and they decide to outsource your roles. It's all out of your control. So that's reason number 2. You always want to have multiple flows of income as opposed to having a single flow of income. And reason number 3 is because when you're working a 9-to-5, most of the time you're trading your time for money. And I suggest that you trade your value for money. Now you might be asking yourself, well, how do I do this? And that is why I built my own business. I started my entrepreneurial journey and I began freelancing while I had a 9-to-5 to build that foundation that ultimately led to me building a profitable business. But if you're just asking yourself, well, what's wrong with trading time for money? Well, if you trade your time for money, you will be working every single day of your life until you die. Because that's the truth of the matter. You need to learn how to make money in your sleep. And the only way to do that is to be able to provide value to other companies, to other businesses, instead of only trading your time for money. Even if you start to get raises and promotions, even if you're on salary, you're still required to show up to the office those 5 days a week. You might get some vacation here and there, but otherwise, you're stuck. You're stuck in that position. You're stuck with what you're making. You're stuck with the rules of the company. You're stuck with that company if something happens to the economy. And on top of that, like we just said, you're stuck trading your time for money no matter what. So those are the 3 reasons why I'll never work a 9-to-5 job again. And I'm sure some of you are starting to resonate with this message, and you might be feeling the same things that I did when you're at your 9-to-5. You might be looking out the window, asking yourself on a Monday afternoon why some people can be out there walking their dog, having a nice brunch with their significant other, and other people need to be in an office every single day trading their time for money. And the reason is, and this is really a secret of the wealthy, but the wealthy know how to trade their value for money. And that is why I highly suggest building your skill set up, watching other videos on this channel. I'm going to be putting out a lot more content to help people that want to leave their 9-to-5 or even just want a way to supplement their 9-to-5 income. And on top of all of the money talk that we spoke about, really having the freedom of being an entrepreneur is something that my soul was craving. And I know a lot of other people that are stuck in 9-to-5s also crave this desire to be able to make money online, work from where you want, wear the clothes that you want to wear, and ultimately be able to decide the type of projects you want to work on. That's why freelancing has changed my life, and I know it has the ability to change millions of other people's lives. It's no secret that the way the workforce and the economy is moving is more to a remote work-based position, where you don't necessarily need to show up to an office every day. And that is what's opening everyone's eyes to all of the new potential and online job opportunities, especially ones that entrepreneurship and freelancing provide. So my name was Paul Mendez, founder of Profitable Freelancer. I hope this video, gave you a little bit of insight into why I will never work a 9-to-5 job again. If you have any comments, leave them down below. I look forward to hearing, and subscribe for more weekly content to come.